This could well be the only gym video you ever need to watch if you're thinking about getting started or restarted in the gym. Now I appreciate it's a bit of a long one, but there is so much value in the next few minutes. Check it out. What you need when you're getting started in the gym is a simple enough plan. You might be starting from scratch, you might be restarting, you might have already been going, but you're just not seeing the progress that you want, so you know you need to do things a little bit differently. Or you might have even just been going and using hours of cardio machines, but you've just never done any form of resistance training, whether free weights or with machines. So I'm going to break it down into 6 movements you need to do in your very first session. This gives you a bit of a foundation of what to look for the future, gives you a bit of a baseline, so when you start creating your own form of training plan, that you know what weights you're working with. You're a bit more confident with the technique, and you know if you need to regress further down the line because you're just not moving right and the exercise is just a bit too difficult. So let's say we've already done the warm-up, we've done a couple of minutes of cardio just to get your heart rate building and getting the blood pumping through your body. You've done some dynamic movements if you want to. This is just the moves that we're trying to go through today. So the first one being a squat. Don't know why I'm holding this already. What I want you to do to start with is just a body weight squat, okay? And you're just going to go down into a squat, trying to get about that much depth and then pushing back up to the top. So we're gonna go through 6 of these to begin with. The idea behind this is you're just getting an idea whether you can actually do a body weight squat. Now the reason I had this was because something like this just gives you that little elevation off your heels. So when you come down into it, you're probably going to find it a lot easier to get that depth if you was restricted in the first place. If bodyweight squats are okay, we're going to go to the next level, which is a goblet squat. You could use a kettlebell, a dumbbell, even a ball if that's all you've got in the area in the gym. Elevate your heels up again if needed, and then you're going to run through the motions. Now because we're doing quite a few exercises in one go, we're not going to be able to push every single one of them to the limit to get the proper starting point of what your weight you should be working with. But the earlier sets we can do. So with the squats, I want you to try and do 8 reps. If you can do 8 reps and there is plenty left in the tank, then go up to the next weight. So in this case, I'd go up to the 10 kg. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time when you're doing this with so many exercises so many times over. That's why you're probably going to take 2 to 3 sessions just to find where your true starting point is. Don't just pick a weight out that you think is going to be fine and start there. Try and test yourself because you're ultimately looking for progress. So now we're into the lat pull down. With this, you apply the same principles with the squat. The same principles you're going to do with every single exercise, whereby you just have to select a weight to start with and do the 8 reps. If you can't get to 8, well, clearly that is just a too heavy a weight for you. Come down into this full stretch position like so, and then bring it into your chest, keeping that core tight, and then retracting back up to the top. You just go through your 8 reps. If you get to the end and there's plenty more reps in the tank, well, it's too light for you, so make it a bit heavier, okay? Do it 2 to 3 sets on each of these exercises. Now, this would be a 25-minute long video if I went through the technique of each. So if there is at any point, any of these exercises, you would like a more comprehensive demonstration, then just let me know in the comments. Now, I'm conscious here of not complicating it too much for you, telling you that the 6 movements we want to cover is a squat, a hinge, a vertical push, a vertical pull, a horizontal push, and a horizontal pull. That is what the 6 exercises I'm going to go through today cover. The squat is the squat. The lat pull down we've just done, that's the vertical pull. We're now going into a vertical push. So the idea behind alternating the exercises like this is that they use different muscle groups. We've gone from a squat, which is your lower body muscles working. We are then going into the lat pull down, which is using your back and your biceps. We're now going to go into a shoulder press. So your back and biceps are in theory resting whilst we're now doing this one. And by alternating them like that, you're giving your body plenty of time to rest and recover before going and using those muscle groups again. For this one, we just go into a shoulder press like so, okay? Again, if you need a further demonstration, then please let me know and I'll be happy to do any videos. Same rules, 8 reps, too easy, add more weight. At this point now, we are absolutely flying from them. We're gonna go through a deadlift. Now, by no means, this technique you might not pick up straight away. It is probably one of the most difficult to teach and for you to understand how to move your body in that way. So, I'm going to start without the weights. This is a hinging movement. So what we're trying to do is push our hips to the back of the room, feeling that tension all down our hamstring, whilst, if we had weights in our hands, lowering those down to about halfway down your shin and then driving your hips through. So the idea is driving the hips back and then driving the hips through. What you'll see a lot in people is rounding the back and bending over like so, or just leaning forward. So don't worry if you're just not picking it up. It just takes repetition, like absolutely everything. But let's say you can move great. You're going to start with the weights, like you're trying to put them into the side pocket, and then you're just going to drive your hips back, halfway down, keeping that back straight, and then driving your hips through like so. That's your hinge movement. Now we're moving into the horizontal pull, which we're using a seated row. Your seated row may look vastly different to this, and you could use a dumbbell row, bent over row. There's so many different variations. I don't want you to just assume that what I'm doing is the only variation you can do. There's many others. Again, drop it in the comments if you want alternatives, and I'll be happy to send some across. But what you're gonna do with this, grip it nice and high, chest just away, core nice and engaged on the plate, and then drive those elbows back. Get that full stretch out in front and then drive those elbows back. This is the horizontal pull done. The final exercise you're going to do is a bench press. This is the horizontal push movement. So lowering the weights just outside of your chest and then pressing directly up, meeting in the middle like so. Coming just outside the chest and then pressing up like so. Now that is the exact first session that I take through all new clients. It is by no means the most comprehensive, and if you just wanted to do one session per week, that would cover all muscle groups. But this is just a start point. This is just to get you rinsing and repeating it to feel comfortable with those movements. If there's any regressions, if any of those you can't do, again, let me know in the comments and I'll show you some alternatives. Because the thing with the gym is everyone seems to want to follow the most perfect plan, but your starting point might be nowhere near where those exercises are. You might need a slight little tweak if you've got previous injuries or restrictions that you can't necessarily do that movement, and that's fine. But that's even more reason why you need to reach out to someone rather than trying to do it yourself. I hope that's helped and it's gave you a little slight bit of context for why we do what we do. And if there's anything else you're unsure of, let me know and I will be happy to chat. See you in the next one.